Hi. Well, I have been having so much trouble sleeping. Last night I went to sleep at 3 a.m. Oh, and I'm getting really old. So in like 18 days, I'm thinking about 18 days, I'll be 64. Wow, that's like officially old because that's like when you can retire. Uh, anyways, and believe me, my body is with the program. It knows it's old. And so I've been having fingers swell up, and I used to have such beautiful hands. And I've been sleeping about 20 hours a day, which is why you haven't seen much of me. So I just got this idea that tonight, I don't even have my yoga mat upstairs in this room, but I'm going to do a little yoga, just basic stretching, relaxing, breathing. So if you want to come along with me, oh God, why did I say it that way? Maybe Jomo, is it Jomo? Won't watch this video. And I won't have to hear the innuendo. All right, let's start in a seated position. And we're quickly going to go down to the floor, do the legs up the wall pose, uh, do some banana stretches. So, but for right now, let's just start bringing our bodies around. And I really wanted to make it kind of dark in here, like a little bit more subdued lighting than we have. And my camera just doesn't want that. So here we are, working with what we got. All right. And everything is just slow tonight. So you can feel every muscle. Pay attention to the way it feels differently. We'll switch directions. And you don't have to do the exact movements I'm doing. They call it somatic yoga when you just kind of do what feels good to your body tonight or today, if you're watching this in the daytime. I'll tell you one reason that I've been so slow and not going out doing my yoga out on the deck is that it's been only about 103 here in Arkansas, but because it's so humid, it equates to feels like 117, and I am not exaggerating that. So what are you going to do except for sit inside the house? So now we can roll our heads and feel each muscle in your neck stretching. So yeah, it was like 117. So the other day I was going to get some groceries. And I thought it's so hot. I had put 3 bottles of water into the freezer, and I put those frozen water bottles into an ice chest. I got one of those big, really nice ice chests. So we're going to look to one direction and then chin to chest and look up at the other direction. And we'll do the roll that way. It's not so much a roll as what you would call this. I guess maybe a half roll. Anyways, I put the water bottles, the ice bottles, into the ice chest. And got a little food. And then I left the water bottles, ice bottles, in the ice chest. See, that was Friday, today's Sunday. So it was from Friday morning until Sunday evening. And then I went and opened up the ice chest because I was going to go get some groceries tomorrow maybe. So I wanted to use the same bottles and I wanted to make sure they were still ice and hadn't all melted. Well, not only had they melted, but they were like boiling hot. I mean, seriously hot water inside the ice chest. And they had started as ice. So, let's do a forward fold, nice and easy. Oh, that's the only way I could do it because it feels like my muscles just went on strike. And they said, we're not going to stretch for you anymore. No, we won't. We refuse. And I'm telling my muscles, you know, you could at least get me down to where I could touch my toes. Come on now. Muscles. Stretch. Hopefully you're very young and you're watching this and thinking, when I'm 64, I want to still be doing yoga, just like Laura. And maybe you're going in the other direction as me in terms of you're able to stretch further and further every day. Because that's what happens. Until a certain point in your life, if you practice something, you just keep getting better at it. And then you hit this point where you're not improving on just about anything. I didn't mean to depress you all. Maybe together we'll grow old gracefully. And with acceptance and humor. So, speaking of humor, I wanted to accuse my husband of using my kitchen scissors for something other than kitchen. But he was kind of sleeping. I didn't want to wake him up to ask him where my scissors were. Or more correctly, to ask what he did with my scissors and accuse him of doing something with my scissors. And a day goes by, I forgot, I didn't ask him in the morning. And then I went into the refrigerator and right next to the bowl of grapes there were my scissors. Oh yeah, I had cut some grapes the day before. And now I just don't even register like where I put my scissors when I don't know why I laid them down in the refrigerator instead of putting them back in the uh, drawer with all the kitchen tools. So, oh, have you ever noticed that if you make noises, you can accomplish more? It's true. Like, sit here and reach down for your toes. Okay, quietly. See how far you go. And now make noises like stretching is so much work, but you're going to push through it. So, oh, oh, did you get a little further? I did. I think it's a scientific fact. Proven right here on YouTube. Like, don't take this as medical advice or even science. Well, I want to do legs up the wall pose. I think what I'm going to do, because I don't want to turn around and do it up the wall behind me like I normally do. Today, I'm going to get right up here by this little table I have and use that to hold my legs up. Oh, all right. This feels good. And bringing your arms up over your head and then like holding one elbow with the opposite hand is an exercise that my physical therapist taught me when I was trying to ward off frozen shoulder syndrome. And it was not successful. Eventually, I went under the knife. I don't remember the doctor's name. If I did, I would say it and recommend him. It was somewhere in North Little Rock. I think it was Arkansas Orthopedics. I'm not sure. I'm not positive. I think they had two offices. One was in North Little Rock and one was, I think, off University in kind of just Little Rock Central. If you want to expend some energy, you could bring your legs straight up. Or like I said, you could go over to a ball and let the wall do the work for you. So I had a not good experience with a doctor of chiropractic medicine recently. I think the office is called Arkansas Nerve and Joint Center, something like that, in Conway. I think the doctor's name was Helm, Helm was his last name, I think. If I'm remembering this. I don't even remember where I put my scissors, so I don't know if I could get all the doctors' names right, but anyways, I had seen this advertisement on YouTube or Facebook. I don't use Facebook very often anymore, but I think that might be where I saw this. Anyways, I saw an advertisement for this nerve and joint center. And, do you have pain in your joints? Yeah, that would be me. And I have insurance. but it said free visit. First visit free. I'm like, well, I don't care because I have good insurance, but they don't pay for everything. Like they won't pay for hormone replacement therapy, which I was doing for a while with like a lotion, and it seemed to be helping me, but I didn't have the $100 a month to just buy this ointment that I wasn't even sure was working. My insurance wouldn't pay for it. So something was working at that time. But anyways, so the insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, they pay for a lot, and I really am happy with them. I would give them probably like a 9.5 out of 10, with 10 being the best. They've been really great. But they won't pay for the hormone replacement, and they do limit the number of chiropractic visits per year to 30, which is quite common. But so I go into this doctor's office thinking that maybe he could do something for these finger joints. And if you'd like to change your position, you could take your knees into your chest and just kind of roll back and forth a little bit. And then bring your knees down. Oh, I gotta move a different way. You could bring your knees down in one direction and look to the other direction. So this is giving you a nice twist. You could use one hand to bring your thigh down in that opposite direction. And if you have handy dandy blocks, you could put them underneath your knees to make it a little bit of a less of a stretch. So wherever you're comfortable. And I'll tell you the rest of the story. I know I tell stories so slowly, it's painful. So I go to this doctor's office, but before I go, I tell the nurse that I have Blue Cross Blue Shield, and she's like, yeah, come on in. Like she made it sound like we usually take that, they'll usually pay for things. If they don't, then we have other ways of doing it, but, come on in. So I go in, and I swear to you that while I was in there meeting with the first of their representatives who called himself a case manager, he was this young white guy, and he was super cheerful and kind of annoyingly so. And yes ma'am, yes. So he's talking to me about what's going to happen next. I'm going to do some tests, and I'm going to get some x-rays. And I say, but my treatment has to be insurance driven. So whatever the insurance will pay for, that's what I'm going to do. So he keeps going with this spiel, and I text my son, like at some point he left the room, and while he left the room, I texted my son that I feel like I'm talking to a car salesman. Like, he had a script and he was sticking to it. And he was like, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. So then we go get x-rays done. And another young man, another young white guy comes in, and he's training and helping with the x-rays. And they do x-rays of my hands, and then they do an x-ray of just my from the side to kind of show my neck and spine. So, and we go back to the room. The second young man wasn't quite as obnoxious, but we go back to the room, and then Dr. Helm, or whatever his name was, comes in. And he's not young, and he's not lean and kind of looks like he works out like the young men. He comes in and he shows me my x-rays of my hands. And it did look like a solid white line through the joints where I'm having so much pain. And he says, and there's posters up all over the office and the different rooms, like the entry and the other rooms, that are talking about some kind of shots with some, I don't know if it's vitamins or what it was. But he says, oh, I could give you these shots. And what you're going to do next is go in and talk to someone about our treatment plan. And I said, well, is it covered by Blue Cross Blue Shield? And he says, no, but we have other ways we have like financing. And I said, well, I am only going to do something. I don't have extra money. I'm not going to spend any money on anything if it's not covered by my insurance. And so he just abruptly stops and says, okay, leave. Okay. So I left. Well, let's do the supine eagle. So you're making one foot on top of the opposite thigh up towards your knee, and then bringing that foot up off the floor. You could use your elbow or even a hand to push the knee out so that you're in a figure four. So I'm walking out the office, and I kind of yelled. The doctor had walked into the where the receptionist is sitting, and I kind of shout out, but I told you before I came in that I had to use insurance. And he like yells back, well, you got 2 free x-rays. Like, okay, I didn't say this, but my insurance pays for x-rays. I'm like, it doesn't do me much good to get an x-ray. I mean, maybe I could contact them and get a copy of it. I don't know. I just feel like they were, like, no matter what you said walking in there, they were going to say, yeah, you could see how your bones are rubbing against each other, and you're going to need this treatment that we have that isn't covered by insurance. But we've got a plan, a finance plan for you. They call it a treatment plan, but it's a finance plan. So let's switch legs so that now the other foot is on top of the opposite thigh, real up close to the knee, and then you bring your leg up. Okay, so yeah, this isn't real relaxing topic, but really, I'm just here trying to kind of calm down and stretch out a little bit, get ready to hopefully fall asleep. It's almost 11. I want to fall asleep before 3. That's my goal. See if I can fall asleep before 3 a.m. So, anyways, I used to eat, uh, until a couple months ago, I used to eat turmeric every day. I'd put like a spoonful of turmeric in with a spoonful, like a small, maybe like a half teaspoon or a teaspoon of turmeric, and then a tablespoon of cacao, just like chocolate, unsweetened, and then a healthy sweetener like honey or agave with a low hypoglycemic index, and mix it with usually a non-dairy milk, as I'm eating dairy sometimes, but I think I do better with non-dairy. So, anyways, maybe the turmeric is what was warding off the swollen joints in my fingers. So, and the reason that I quit with that, it's not expensive. It's not like the hormone ointment, but I had bought this like huge supply, like I don't know if it was like 2 pounds of turmeric off of some Amazon, and it was in a kind of interesting bag. It seemed like the bag was like almost like tin foil or something, but I felt pretty comfortable with its shelf life. And so I had this, I feel like there's a bug biting me. So I had this turmeric, and then I didn't even finish the whole thing, and it went past date. So I just haven't replaced it. Only because I've been so busy and I haven't wanted to leave the house unless I had something that I had to do. So, and I live really far from, like a half hour from Whole Foods, and that's where I think I'm gonna find it. I don't think they have it at Trader Joe's. It's too, like, not like something everybody wants to eat. So, but they do have the cacao at Trader Joe's, and it's a little cheaper than Whole Foods. Anyways, I'm back sitting up. I'm gonna look and see if there's spiders or ants or something crawling around here, just waiting to bite me. No, it doesn't look like it, but, ugh. Okay. Well, actually, I enjoyed talking to the air. Hopefully, somebody listens to my story and, I don't know, they know not to go to that dude. Arkansas is a state where you can video without permission, like as long as one of the person who's in the conversation uh, wants to record it, they're allowed to. And so there's like some, like UAMS, who I have a real big beef with, they won't, they have a policy that says that you cannot video there. And I've seen some case law, like, or, where one of them, I think it was a girl was there and her boyfriend was video or vice versa. Anyways, they physically came in and removed the one who was videotaping. When I was there and they were forcing my son to stay there, I tried to take some videos and they would tell me like they were going to have me removed. And I took a few anyways, and you can find them on this channel. They drugged the hell out of him so he could barely speak. I say him instead of him and then say he couldn't speak. But no, he was seriously had aphasia from, he did have one blunt blow to the head. Just one. It wasn't like a car accident where he rolled over 6 times or something like that. He didn't get beat up with a baseball bat, hit over and over again. He was jumping off of a ladder because it was falling, and he knew that he was going to get hurt really bad if he didn't jump, because behind where the ladder was falling towards, one thing was there were some electric wires around, and he didn't really think that was a great idea to hit those. And the other was that there was a steep slope behind him, and so he knew that he was going to fall really far, so he just jumped, and he didn't calculate in for inertia and kind of lands on his head. And he was unscathed other than that, other than, he hit his head. And he said it hurt when it happened. Like right when it happened, it was excruciating. But then it didn't hurt so much, and by the time EMT comes and takes him to the hospital, he says it's a 2 out of 10, with 10 being the worst pain and 1 being the least pain, and he was a 2. So it wasn't really, hurting that bad. But the EMT said that he had fallen 35 feet, which he was on like a 35-foot ladder, but he wasn't at the top of the ladder when he jumped. So he was about 10 feet high run. So the way that you say the height that you fall is from where your feet are. So like if you're 6 feet tall and you're standing on the ground and you fall and hit your head, you wouldn't say that you fell 6 feet. You'd say you fell from ground level. So anyways, that's just the way. So he fell like about 10 feet, not 35. But I guess business was slow, and these doctors have to bring in enough money to pay their salaries. So like one of them, his name's Prashant or something, Reddy Damal Charuvu. Damal Charuvu, yes, that's his name, doctor. He's an assistant professor there at UAMS, and he gets well over $500,000 a year paid to him. And there's a doctor, I'm not remembering a lot of their names right now. I know Nolan Bruce. I always want to call him Bruce Nolan because Bruce sounds like a first name, but it's Nolan Bruce. And Benjamin Davis. Those are some of the higher paid doctors that are making you about roughly $500K a year. So Yeah, that money has to come from somewhere. So I think that's why they kept my son. Just the same reason that Dr. Helm wanted to treat me. And when he found out that he wasn't going to get paid because the insurance wouldn't pay for it and I wasn't going to pay for it, of course, he's there to get paid. He's not there because he's like me sitting here wanting to help people get healthy. He wants to be paid. And, if he could do it by helping people get healthy, well, he didn't look that healthy himself, but I mean, he's okay. Um, so anyways, why was I talking about all that? Just that I was thinking about the UAMS and how the pretty much just that their sole purpose for being there seems to be to generate income. Because they even wrote things like uh, that he needed inpatient rehab. They had told me for like 6 months they wanted him to do inpatient rehab. And but then they wrote, unless he has no insurance, then he should just go home. So, like, why would you make your medical diagnosis or your treatment plan if it's going to be different based on if the person has insurance or not? So, though, I mean, I'm saying that, but at the same time, one of the reasons my son didn't want to stay in the hospital was because he had no insurance. And so he's like, I'm not going to give you everything I own so that you could look at me. It only hurts a 2 out of 10. I want to go home. So instead, they gave him fentanyl, which sounds like a really bad idea to me. To give someone who says, like, I don't want fentanyl, to force him to take fentanyl? Okay. Let's say the word fentanyl a lot. That way, if people are searching for that, the magic of the internet and the artificial intelligence, or whatever it is that does the searches, will bring them here. And you can find out that some people have really bad reactions to fentanyl. My son was one of them. I have another son, and I don't know if I get to say I have another son. I had another son. He's in that picture. The picture kind of gets cut off, so I'm going to go over here, and there he is. That's Buddy with me in New Orleans a few years back. And Buddy had a little bit of a problem with substance abuse. And I guess he had a housemate who also had a substance abuse problem that he was dealing with by getting methadone to help him get off of like heroin, I suppose. I don't know that I'm ever going to know the true answer. So, but the part that I do know is true is that Buddy took 1 dose of this methadone and it killed him. So the coroner said it was drug toxicity. And I said, you mean he had an overdose? And she said, no, he didn't overdose. He had drug toxicity. Okay. So it sounds like, those warning labels that they put inside the medication, and it says like, warning,
And fentanyl, it comes in a big box. Like it's got a box around, warning, don't use me. If you're also taking certain benzodiazepines. So then these idiot moron doctors at UAMS first force him to take fentanyl, and he has a bad reaction. He's going like, get me out of here. And they tie him up. I'm not making this up because I would get sued, and successfully sued, I think, if I was like making this up. But they restrained him with these Velcro restraints on his hands and his ankles. And this is like when he was seriously hurt in a fall. I mean, you know, it wasn't like a trip and fall. This was a pretty serious fall. And he did take a blow to the head, and he wanted to go home and go to sleep and just sleep in his nice cozy bed and have his mama make chicken soup for him. And so they didn't like that idea because they wouldn't make any money. So they said he had to stay for observation. And since he wouldn't stay, he kept trying to, what they call, elope. Like, sounds like, you know, he was doing something he wasn't really wanted to do. Like, his family didn't want him to get married to somebody, and he was going to marry her anyways. I don't know if that's like without authority, but, you know, they were saying elope. The word's escape. When somebody wants to leave and you won't let them, and they break out of restraints and go running down the hallway, I think he was naked because they kept him naked a lot of the time, which is also a tactic to try to keep people in place because, you know, like, who's gonna run down the hallway naked? Well, yeah, someone who's trying to escape might do that. So, this is why I can't go to sleep until 3 in the morning. Because I think about this kind of stuff. And I should just be writing about it, but my little fingers hurt because the joints are swollen. I can't even type anymore. They hurt so bad. Even just like that, like putting weight on them to shift my weight around. Oh my gosh. They're like, I don't know if you could even tell if I showed them to you. But like if you looked at them and, I mean, people who see them in person, they're like, yeah, that finger is really swollen. The other one looks like it's getting swollen too. Yeah, it is. So, and I think that, one thing that I learned in law school, or one thing that they tried to teach me in law school, but apparently I didn't learn, is to not say, I think, because obviously that's what you think if you're saying it. Though that's what the instructor said. But, you know, if you want to pull that one apart a little bit, well, I might say, I think that giving Sean fentanyl against his will was a really bad idea. I think it was illegal. Now I'm saying I think. Let's take out the I think. Giving Sean fentanyl against his will was a really bad idea. And what was the rest of it that I said? Oh, and it's illegal. As long as I don't benefit from giving legal advice, I think I'm allowed to, because the law that makes it a misdemeanor, and then if you keep doing it, a felony, to uh, practice law without authorization, begins with something to the effect of, unless a person is not, has no expectation of a financial benefit or economic benefit. So anyways, I think means I'm not certain, or there are people who might disagree with me. Not that they would be right, and not that there's a chance that they would be right. So, yeah, I think the instructor is right. I should just say, this is the law, or this is what's ethical, or this is what I want. Like, I wouldn't say, I think I want to eat pizza tonight. By the way, we had this really good pizza with gluten-free crust, and it comes like in a package, and I put a little extra stuff on top, like a good quality ham without any additives or nitrites. You know, I mean, they might use celery to preserve it instead of nitrites. So, and then I added some black olives just out of a can, and some sliced mushrooms out of a can, salt, pepper, little garlic, like it's pre-crushed, and put in vinegar. I think that's it. Oh, there's the, I think. Anyways, what do you think about saying I think? So, thank you for joining me. I'm going to turn off the camera. I'm going to start downloading this, or uploading it, I'm sorry, uploading it to YouTube for your viewing pleasure. Give me some comments if you have any, except for Jomo, you could keep it to yourself. You could comment if you want. I can handle you. um, anyways, it is kind of fun knowing that there's somebody out there who at 2 or 3 in the morning is not going to be able to sleep, and they're going to be scrolling on YouTube and come across this crazy old almost 64-year-old lady. And it's a pretty cool universe that we're living in many ways. Thanks for joining.